Okay, the reason I'm making this movie is to show some of the equipment that I use to make these films. Now, I'm not Mickey Spillane or Steven Spielberg or anything like that, but I figured that I would give kind of a rundown on what kind of equipment I'm using to make my instructional videos. Most of the videos that I do are shot with this camera here. And you're probably wondering, why do I have a set of headphones on? Well, I'm going to take those off right now, and I'll explain that to you. The set of headphones that I had on are for the audio recorder seen here. That is the Zoom H4n audio recorder. And the camera that I'm using now, we can't shoot into the light, is a streaming camera from Logitech. But we'll set this down. These two cameras are my two main cameras, and the audio, I just started using Second Audio so I can work the program in Audigy. Now, the camera that I use for taking pictures, and I can also shoot movies as well, is a Nikon D7100. And I've recently acquired a generic GoPro for those action shots this summer. And I can't remember who made this, but it was really inexpensive, and this we'll be using outdoors for some of the action shots and some of the quick shots that I need to take out in the field. Now, I'm in need of a blimp, and I've shown that blimp on the video just for the simple fact for the audio. Now, I'm going to go ahead and turn this light down so that we can look at the light that I'm using. So we'll walk over here, and I'm going to turn this light down or off. There we go. This is the light that I'm using. It's a LED. Well, I don't know how many candle power it is, but it's very bright. And that illuminates the background. And I'm going to show you how I transition frames in Wondershare. That's a free software that I've been using. However, I do have the paid version, and I'm going to show you how to kind of clip all the audio gear here that we have, and how to meld or mix all these things together. So we'll see. Oh, I forgot one thing. Before I started, let's turn the light back on, and I'm going to pull up the clapboard. Let me set this camera down. I've been jockeying the cameras back and forth to try to get set up for this shot because I am a one-man band. This is what's known as a clapboard. And when I start recording, the camera that we're looking at here now is directly to the computer. That's a Logitech computer for conference calling. And then the handheld Sony is used for some of the other shots. And we could use the D7100, but there's not any need for a third and fourth camera. So I have 4 cameras that I'm going to be using for different things this summer. I have a jib crane where we can get a little bit of action in the shot. But I like to talk about this. This is a clapboard. And how that works is when you start the first camera rolling and the second camera rolling, in order to sync the audio, you have to make a mark. So you say, movie making number 1 in 3, 2, 1, mark. that clap that you just heard, that click, makes a spike in the audio. Now you cut the audio, you trim the audio there. I also have audio on this camera. You can see the spike in the audio on this camera and on the second camera as well. And you want to trim all the audio where that spike is, and I'll show that in Wondershare as well. And then line that line up, and then all the audio should be synced together. So that's the first part of that. The reason that I was using the headsets again was so that I could hear how the audio sounded from the recorder. And I adjusted that with the remote control. I'm looking at the bars here. You want it to peak between 12 and 13 dB. You don't want it to peg all the way over to 0, otherwise your audio is really distorted. And I'm going to show you, when we go over to the computer, how I mix and match these clips together to make a really, I think, cinematic, movie. We're going to add some music that we get from YouTube Creator Studio, and that's a tricky part too. You want to make sure that the music that you use is free use. And that means that you don't have to make any arbitration or, attribution to the artist. Otherwise, you're going to get a DMAC file against you, which is a digital millennium copyright, and they'll either take down your movie, put a strike against you, or cancel your account, and you surely don't want that. So make sure music is very important in YouTube. You want to make sure that that's free use music, and if you use the Creator Studio part inside YouTube in your dashboard, and you put the mark no attribution needed, it'll show you the music that's free use. Now you can also use the arbitration music as long as you put in the description box the artist name and his link. And they're going to count that, and they might take a small portion of your AdSense revenue from your video. That I'm not sure, because I'm just not big enough. But I've been talking here about, it doesn't have a time on this camera. I've been talking about 10, 12 minutes. Let's go over to the computer and we'll put this all together, and then we'll do a wrap-up. I'm having to do this movie making video in probably 4 takes. The first one that you saw there, this one here, and now I'm over at the computer and I'm going to have to piece this all together for at least a 3rd take and maybe a 4th. We're going to add some shots from video blocks in this. I'll show you how to do that. A little bit of green screen. And as I said before, I'm not a professional filmmaker. I'm just a guy learning how to do it. And I thought that I'd, share some of the secrets that have helped me along to you. So, we'll see you in the next part.